What's up, man?
What's this about?
So I want to see if students here, you know, or anyone in particular, trust their common sense. Would you guys say you trust your common sense?
I'm not a student here, but I do trust my common sense.
Okay, fair enough.
Sense,
No, yeah. I mean, I actually have 3 very easy questions, elementary level, and just a test to see if people actually do trust their common sense, right? So, hey, what's up?
Like
Yeah, just testing the students' common sense. Are you guys a student here?
yeah.
Yeah?
I don't trust my
When
common
you say
sense.
common
I mean,
sense
it's
like
what
that?
kept you alive this whole time, if you ask me. It's what helps you cross the street. You know, it's all our senses, you know? You don't trust your common sense?
Are
You're
these
saying?
like trick questions?
Well, it's
I feel
just
like I'll second guess myself.
it's about making people think. You know, you guys want to give it a shot?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 3 elementary level questions. The first one is the hardest, but then they get easier.
Elementary?
Elementary level, yeah. I've had 8-year-olds answer them correct. At least 2 of the 3 correct.
Smart
Okay.
as 8-year-olds.
Yeah. So I have 2 images here, and the reason I call them images is because one of them's a photograph and one of them's a painting.
Okay.
So I want to see if people can tell the difference.
Simple.
That's a painting.
Okay.
That's a photo.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the opposite.
Okay. Fair enough. It's actually a trick question. They're both paintings. So yeah, I don't
We
expect.
should have put 2 and 2 together.
I thought you were because you know you started off with that, but no. But
This one looks like a painting though.
no, yeah.
Yeah,
They're both paintings actually. So that was actually a trick question.
They're both-
They're
what?
both paintings.
They're both paintings?
Yeah.
What the freak?
Yeah, right? So I obviously don't expect people to get this one, right? Because it's impossible to tell, right? But by the way, this one's an oil painting, and this is a digital painting done on an iPad. So this one actually took like 200 hours to do. You can find it online of the guy that did it. So yeah, it's pretty realistic, right? So there is 2 reasons why I asked this question though, and it has to do with common sense. So the first reason is just believing someone opens the door to being deceived, right? Because you guys believe me that wants a photograph, that influenced your choice, right? So it's not good to just believe someone, right? The second reason is if we want to determine something is real, an image is not good enough. Because if I showed you an image of me flying or me like lifting a grown elephant, would you believe I could do those things? No, right? Because that defies physics. So another point is if an image defies physics, we got to throw the image away, right? So yeah, so the next 2, they're not your question, but you don't have to believe me, but they actually have to do with physics, elementary physics.
Physics?
Elementary physics, water, very simple.
Okay.
For example, water always has to be contained, for example, like in this bottle, and water will always go to its lowest point and level out. For example, I could change the orientation of the bottle, but water always shows us the direction of down and always levels out, you know?
Yeah.
In other words, water only has one orientation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since we understand that fact about water that it always goes down, right? I painted the water blue with food coloring just to make it easier to see the water. But since we understand water always goes down, how I'm showing you these 2 images, which one is upside down?
Ooh. Okay. Phenomenal question.
Wait, which side? What do you mean upside
Yeah.
down?
So one of these images is actually upside down.
Okay.
How I'm showing it to you. But if you're paying attention to the water, you're gonna be able to figure it out. Which one is upside down?
It's this one. No?
I'm gonna say neither. I'm gonna say there's a substance in this one, like oil, that makes the water.
Oil.
You know how oil and water don't like mix?
Yeah, but oil is not that clear.
Yeah, you go.
It's not gonna
No, yeah,
hold that
it's
up.
empty from the bottom. That's
Yeah.
I swear.
So which
Yeah.
so which one is upside down of the 2 images?
I think this one.
So you think this
I
image is
think-
upside down?
Okay, wait. When you ask like,
Which one of these 2 images is upside down? How I'm showing them to you. If water always goes to the bottom of the bottle and levels out, which one of these 2 is upside down? How I'm showing it to you.
This one's upside down.
There
right?
you go. You got it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go.
So
with
okay, I'm gonna try to make it easier. I took a picture of obviously the water, but it's blue. I took one like this and one like this. Can you show me which one is the one that I took upside down?
I'm gonna just say this one's upside down.
Okay, I'm gonna explain to you. This one is the correct one, and I'm gonna explain to you why. Because I can never get the water to stick to the top of the bottle, and the water's obviously on top of this one. So I actually took it like this. I was holding it up to the ceiling, so I took that picture like this, holding it up to the ceiling, just to make it a little trickier. I put the same background. You know what I'm saying?
John, you eating me up so far.
And I understand you guys probably overthought this one just
Yeah, I
because of the first
overthought
trick
it.
question, but
Yeah.
most people do get it, you know. But again, the water can't stick to the top
That
of the
makes it
bottle.
feel worse. Most people get it.
No, I mean, you
Most
know,
people
dumbass.
get it.
no, some people do overthink it though. A lot of people
Yeah,
do
I
overthink it.
overthink.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not a
that-
it's not a bad thing all the time, but you know,
Yeah, that's
this
pretty bad right now.
this last one, okay, this one's the easiest one. So, water always finding its level. You guys
Okay.
heard of that, right?
Yeah.
What could be another word for level?
Ooh, so you got this.
Another word for
Another word for level, like you know, it's just like a spirit level, right?
balance.
Okay, that's
Like flat.
Okay, that's a good one. You can look it up. It's the proper definition is horizontal, because if we had a straight line that was at a slope, it's not level. It's
Oh,
a
yeah,
slope.
yeah.
So it has to be a horizontal straight line, and that's what level. That's why we use these in construction, right? To make sure things are flat and even, right? So since we understand that fact about water as well, this one's the easiest one, by the way. Since we understand what level means and how water behaves, which one of these two represents level as we know it when we're looking at the water? Which one represents level? Yeah, it's the obvious one. Yeah. Hey, yeah. A or B?
Level, looking at the water.
When you're looking at the water, yeah, which one represents level? Yeah, you agree with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the obvious one, right? So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you guys, have been tricked to believing this is the answer, even though we know it's this one. You guys want to know how we were tricked?
How?
How so?
Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah. for the
Yeah,
most part,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, right? That's what they teach us in school. So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,159 miles. So with that, we get the circumference of 24,901 miles, which means there should be curvature every mile. And every mile it increases because it's not a slope, it's a curve. So every mile that curvature has to increase. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop. Second mile, 32 inches. By the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature. And in 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of curvature, which is like a 6-story building. So if we actually went now like a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the water is going to be parallel to anything, level above it. But they're trying to tell us that water is going to be bending 6 feet in 3 miles. So if we start at 5 feet, that gap's going to increase to 11 feet in 3 miles, the water bending. But in my opinion, this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe, a physical measurement of the Earth. So if I was to ask you guys, what's the #1 proof or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
I think satellites.
Okay,
with,
so
like,
satellite
images.
images,
Yeah, okay.
that's why he showed us
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up. So that those images defy physics.
Earth is round.
Yeah, that the Earth is a ball. What's the #1 thing or reason that makes you believe that?
I mean, what science told us.
So
I mean,
what you were
every
told?
other planet is
Okay.
round.
You would
Like, why
say
would we
the
be
stars in the
flat?
sky. So what we were told
and
about.
then like Earth's rotation and gravity.
Okay.
Like it just.
Okay. So Earth's rotation. Okay. So you said, it's just what science says.
Yeah, but that's like pretty vague.
Okay, so science, when we're talking about science, there's three branches of science. There's natural science, which is the objective world we see, which has to do with physics, biology, chemistry. It has to do with substance, measuring things. Then there's formal science, which has to do with language, basic concepts. So the globe is formal science. It's not natural science, so it only exists on paper. So when you're talking about gravity and the rotation of the Earth, all of those things only exist on paper, because when you actually go out in nature to physically measure the Earth's rotation, it fails. Or measure Earth's curvature, is not there. It only exists again through a TV screen or through GoPro cameras like this. You know what I'm saying? So basically, and they actually admit they're Photoshop. They don't call them Photoshop; they're composites. They say they're composites and they stitch them together in a computer. So every image from space, it's just a cartoon. It doesn't really exist.
Well, why would we be lied to though?
So
By
I would say
what's the benefit
by
of lying that
by all
the
the
Earth is
countries
circular rather
in
than
the
flat?
nation.
Yeah. So here's an image of the horizon without a GoPro lens, 20 miles in the sky, which is 4 or 5 times higher than commercial airplanes fly, and the horizon is always horizontal, and it always rises to the level of the observer. So if the horizon was supposedly the curve of the Earth, because they try to say that's the curvature of the Earth, that's why you can't see beyond it, then the higher we rise, the lower we should look on the horizon.
Yeah.
But the fact is that the horizon rises with you, and
So
you're able to see further in front of you and not below you. So we're only increasing our angle of view. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're able to see further when we increase altitude. But again, the horizon rises with you as well, which shouldn't happen on a globe. If that's the geometry of the curvature of the Earth, it should stay fixed. But the reality is that the horizon is just the limit of perspective. It's just how far we can see. And by increasing our altitude, we increase the angle of view, and again, we increase how far we can see. And that's it. It's just optics. The horizon is just optical. It's apparent.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So nobody knows how far the Earth extends. Oh shit. Yeah, nobody knows how far the Earth actually extends. So that's a mystery. So I'm actually doing this because I actually do want to find out what this place actually is. Because it comes back to control. And the reason they lie to us about the shape of the Earth when we're so young is to basically, it's like a cheap shot on our common sense. So if they could get you to believe something that completely defies physics, then they're gonna get you to believe in other concepts like the economy and how much rent you should be paying, how many taxes. So it's all about crippling our common sense so that we're easily controlled when we're older. So that's why they lied to us when we were little.
So do you think like pictures of other planets like
Oh, yeah,
Venus,
it's
Mercury,
okay.
they're all flat, and you think
No.
there's-
So the stars, they tell us that they're light years and trillions of light years away, right? Supposedly, right? So I don't know if you guys ever heard of a camera called the Nikon P900. It's a P1000 now, but it's the most powerful zoom camera on the market that a civilian can buy. It has 83 times zoom. I think the P1000 has like 100 times zoom now, but these images were taken with that camera. And optical zoom is real zoom. It's not digital zoom where you're just zooming into pixels. This is real zoom, and we're able to zoom into the stars, telling us that these stars are very close to the ground. So if you ask me, these lights in the sky, nobody knows what they actually are, other that they're constant. You know, that's why we have the constellations. They reset every year. In other words, if we were truly shooting through outer space and spinning and going around the sun and all these other motions that they're telling us, there should be a parallax from the stars every night. In other words, we should have a different sky every night. But the fact that the stars and the constellations reset every year to the exact same position every time tells us that the Earth is not spinning and we're not shooting through space, basically, like around the sun and all. The whole model we've been lied to about, basically, not just the Earth.
So
we've been lied to about the whole model.
if the Earth's not spinning, what?
The Earth, the sun's actually moving above us. So the sun is not, again, it's
So
not.
that's what causes weather patterns.
Exactly. So, I want to show you this map again. Nobody knows the true dimensions of the Earth. You know, so I don't like to use any maps, but I'll just show you guys because you guys are, a bit open to it. So all the continents are telling us, right? If they actually are the same, the size they're telling us and the place, this is what it will look like, right? Antarctica, if Antarctica actually exists, supposedly underneath the globe, like they're telling us, is actually just a ring around us. So I don't know if this ring exists, but that will contain the water. You know, that's where I think the word continent comes from, because the continents contain the water. So just like horizon, these are images of the horizon. If you ask me, the word horizon comes from the word horizontal, because they're always, or the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth, again, it's going to be through action cameras like GoPros that warp straight lines, kind of like this one, or through CGI cartoons, again, like this. So these are official NASA images, but they're cartoons. In other words, composites. That's the only place you're ever going to see curvature. GoPros or cartoons. The reality, shows us what it actually is. And especially if we could physically measure the surface of water, which is their number one claim. One of the reasons why they lied to us about this is kind of to disconnect us from that this place was created by. I'm not religious myself. I think all religions are there to control. In the heliocentric model of all Earth, it's the biggest religion. I'm gonna tell you why. What do all religions have in common? A creation story. They have a creation, and they all basically tell you how to live and how you should live, right? That's government. They give us a creation story through the evolution, through the Big Bang, just like any other religion has their own version of a creation story, right? The fact is, nobody knows how this place came to be, So I don't know if there is a way to find that out. I don't think there is. How can you go, back in time to see how this place was created? I think that's illogical. It's kind of dumb to try to figure it out, how this place was created. But they know that fact, so they use that fact basically to trick us, because nobody actually knows, what this place actually is, other than the fact that it was intended for us. Physics proves that this place was created. You guys heard of the first law of thermodynamics? No? So the first law of thermodynamics is energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it can only transform from one form to another. So that debunks the idea of that Big Bang that came from nothing, basically. So that law debunks the theory of the Big Bang, basically. And it's funny how the mainstream debunks itself, basically, with all these claims, for example. Second law of thermodynamics is that it has to do with entropy. With pressure, high pressure will always move to the lower pressure area unless there's a solid barrier separating the two. That's why, when you have a leak on your tire in your car, the air just rushes out because of entropy, the second law of thermodynamics. So they're trying to tell us that outer space is a negative pressure next to Earth's pressure without a container. So that defies physics as well, the whole idea of outer space. Because the Earth needs to be physically contained if we have air pressure, which we do. It's 14.7 allegedly, the pressure we have here on Earth. So, anything above that, you're going to need a container to separate it, or anything below it. Again, if you want to create a vacuum, you need like a solid cube to be able to suck all the air out, and that's how you create a vacuum. So the fact that vacuum, they're saying, is an open system, vacuums have to be closed systems. So again, outer space is just made up. It's just an idea. Nobody knows what this place actually is. We were lied to about the whole cosmology, not just the shape of the Earth.
Cypher.
No, yeah. So one of the reasons, or one of the ways that they tricked us, into, well, not us because I didn't go to school and you guys are not in college, but college students, is they redefine the word level by meaning equal distance from the center to the surface of a sphere. So they're trying to say if you're 5 feet above here and from the center, and 5 feet above here from the center, and 5 feet above here from the center, you connect that means level. You're trying to say level means curve, equal distance from the surface to the center. But in
I have a different question.
Sure.
So, if you were to simply circumnavigate the globe from this point to this point, like
Right.
go all the way around,
Right.
it would be a shorter distance if you went from this way all the way around.
I'm
wouldn't it?
glad you read that.
So, isn't that an easy way to determine if it's
Yeah, I don't know if you knew,
circular?
when you look into flight patterns, I don't like to focus on flight patterns because it's kind of irrelevant because we don't know the true shape, dimensions.
like even like sailing?
But yeah, I know what
Wouldn't
you're
it be the
saying.
same
So
thing?
people would say, like on a globe, going from Australia to South America should be short route, right? It should be very short on a globe. It should be very short, right? But in reality, planes don't go from Australia straight to, they actually cut through the middle. So they always make stops here. On a globe, it looks like they're going north and then they're going back south. But on a flat map, it just looks like they're going in a straight line. Because they always make stops midway, like to pick up more passengers, and then they keep going. You know, on this map, flight paths are just straight lines to continents. And in circumnavigation would just be circles around the north, which would be a center point. You know, circumnavigation is just circles east and west. You know, and north is just the center point. You know what I'm saying? So again, these flight paths that you're saying, they don't exist. Like, and
Yeah.
even if they did, we
Because
don't.
they have to follow the wind, like the wind patterns.
Sure, but again, when you put those flight patterns on a globe and on this, they make more sense on this. But again, I'm not saying this is correct because I don't know what the Earth actually looks like. For all we know, this is fake too. We actually don't know how many continents there are, how big they are, how the layout actually is. I actually don't know. But this is what it would look like if the globe was true, like the continents of the globe. You know, but a lot of people think that there could be other ponds over here. So if the ice wall does exist, guess what? There's probably another pond over here. You know. And
More worlds.
exactly, all the other worlds are here, basically, not up there.
That's fire.
Yeah, there you go. No, yeah.
What's this for? Is this like a
So
personal
because
project?
I came across this in 2016, and that's when it exploded on the internet. It started getting censored around 2019 and 2018. And the way they're censoring is they're not removing this information from the internet. They're just ridiculing it, removing it, and misrepresenting people like me. So they're calling us flat earthers and trying to group people into this category of crazy flat earthers, so that nobody actually listens to someone like me, right? So the reason I do this is kind of to show a method of approach so that we could get the conversation started, so that the mainstream actually takes it serious. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna divert. They're gonna talk about they're gonna just focus on what the stars are supposedly doing. You know, they're just gonna focus on red herrings, basically. Nothing physical or measurable. You know, they're just gonna bamboozle people, basically. I mean, you'll see that if you start looking into this. But yeah. So I do have some information I share because it is being censored. So if you go on Google or YouTube, you're gonna get nothing but ridicule. So I do have some links here that you could check out on your free time that you could use to cross-reference. Those are the 6 main proofs that debunk the globe. You could take one. I have a bunch. And yeah, I mean, do you have any questions? I mean,
No, this is
before
really
you-
interesting.
no,
Thank
yeah.
you.
But, so how long ago did you guys hear about this? If you don't mind me asking. Oh, have you
about
guys
the
heard of
flat Earth?
Flat Earth?
Flat
Yeah.
Earth?
Long time
Maybe
ago.
like 10 years now.
Yeah,
10 years?
probably.
Okay.
It's been a
that's-
long
yeah, I mean, they do tell us in school right off the back that Columbus thought he was flat, but then he circumnavigated and found America. You know, they kind of use that story. Again, they just use stories and fallacious reasoning to make us believe, you know, to make us disregard physics, basically. But yeah, any questions before you go? I mean, no?
That's
All right.
fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for talking, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no
Really
problem.
interesting.
Yeah, you guys take care. So you guys heard of this topic before, right? Flat Earth? Pretty sure you guys heard of Flat Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stay away from Flat Earth because that's one of the ways they're censoring this. That's one of the, so they're just grouping people like me into a group just to ridicule and to misrepresent. You know what I'm saying? So it's just tactics, you know, that any manipulator is going to use. They're going to divert from the real science, which is measurable, you know, testable and repeatable. And the physics of water is the #1 proof. You know what I'm saying? Have I give you guys a flyer? No, not yet.
No.
Here, you guys can take one just in case, you know, you guys are interested, because it is being censored. So if you go on Google and YouTube and just type in Flat Earth or Google or Ball Earth Lie, you're going to get nothing but controlled opposition and misrepresenting, you know.
Okay.
So this is something you guys can go and cross-reference. You know, don't believe anything I'm saying. Don't believe anyone, you know, that anyone says. I would, you know, use your own discernment and understand physics.
Alright,
Understanding physics is what's going to be the key to understanding this reality.
nice.
You know. So
Alright.
I appreciate you guys
Thank
talking.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
You too.
Yeah.
All right, man.